Tournament of Power God Goku applies consistent pressure throughout the game, enabling explosive turns that attack multiple times and cheats the most amount of energy in Fusion World. Welcome to Archetype 101. I'm Espira and we'll be breaking down Red Topu. We'll be going through what the deck aims to do, an example deck list to get you started, and then some example gameplay to see it in action. Without further ado, let's get started. Topu is a red leader released in Burning Aura. His frontside is standard, being a 15k draw type leader. He differs by having a new trait introduced in Burning Aura, Tournament of Power. Combined with his Universe 7 trait, this enables cross synergies with old U7 cards as well as brand new Tournament of Power cards. Notably, he awakens at 3 life. Scary life total, but it's backed by an incredibly powerful awakened ability. Once he becomes a god, Goku can pay 1 energy and discard a card to play a 20k or less Tournament of Power battle card from the hand. This is only as good as the battle cards you can play, and thankfully for this archetype, the battle cards available are incredibly strong. Arguably, the best card introduced in the set, Kefla is a 4-cost battle card that gets stronger on the board, draws a card to replace the discard, and plays a 3-cost battle card to push aggressive turns. All of this for 1 energy. Oh, and in a pinch, she's an incredible 10k combo. Follow up with Android 17, an incredibly sticky battle card that has KO protection and will boost your leader by an additional 5k power, turning your leader into a pseudo Broly leader, or even stronger with multiple. Self-awakening is at the heart of the strategy to make sure we can access these powerful plays. With that, Burning Aura introduced Self-Awakeners in Caulifla, a 20k critical body that takes a life on play, and Gohan, a beefed up version of Hit that not only takes a life on swing, but also negs on board for 15k power. Overwhelm your opponents and close out the game with Ribrianne, a 20k double striker that you can play for 1 energy in this burning strategy. Here's a 101 deck list built to give the best idea of what this archetype aims to do in a vacuum. However, if you're looking to level up beyond the base strategy, I post competitive variants alongside write-ups breaking down my thoughts about the deck's strengths, weaknesses, and position in the meta over on my Patreon, alongside some additional perks. Join me in discovering the meta and being ahead of the curve. The refined final versions will eventually make it on YouTube, so no worries if you can't jump in. When it comes to the deck list, we are optimizing for consistency. There are 2 parts of the deck, the part that wants to awaken and the part that wants to do stuff once we do awaken, and then we have a couple of cards in there to kind of make it all come together. Of course, we've got our leader, which, to be fair, I don't know that you want to play too aggro with this leader too early on. Being at 3 life is a very scary place to be at, even if you're awakened and doing powerful things like playing 4-drop Keflas. So with that in mind, I think playing it a little bit slower might be the way that you want to take it, but nevertheless, it is something that your opponent's going to have to keep in mind when they're attacking you or any which way, because if they do awaken you without plans of what you're going to do next turn, you could apply a ton of pressure, especially when you consider that even if your opponent is spending turn after turn emptying your board, blue does Scythe, green is able to board wipe you. 1, some of your cards are sticky, but 2, you're able to establish a board out of nothing because for 1 energy, you can get 2 battle cards, or place the cards in your hand, or apply crit pressure or any which way. So it's an incredibly powerful ability, and oftentimes your opponent's going to have to play around you as opposed to you playing around your opponent. As I was saying, the deck is composed of essentially 2 parts. The first part being the Self-Awakeners. While I'd love to lean on just set 2 stuff for this example deck list, I think there's no reason to not include the best Self-Awakeners in the game. Master Roshi is incredible and such a key card in terms of getting your awakening turns off early, but of course we can lean on Hit as well, which is a fantastic 2-drop and really good in the mirror because, hey, it contests opposing Master Roshis. And then in terms of the new stuff, we've got Caulifla, which is just 20k pressure, and then we've got Gohan that not only is good on curve because it helps remove stuff off the board, but is even stronger when you consider that it becomes then a 25k afterwards once you are awakened. And honestly, with the amount of KO protection that the format has, the fact that we have more ways to be able to neg bodies off board, I think is a really big deal. Once you get past the awakening though, honestly, this might as well be a Kefla deck. Everything revolves around Kefla because of how incredibly good she is. 4-drop, 20k, 10k combo, which means she's never even dead in your hand. And then's got the permanent that she gets an additional 5k once you're awakened, which odds are the only time you're ever really playing Kefla is when you are awakened. So 25k attacker, nothing to scoff at there, especially since she draws a card and she plays a 3-drop. And you're just going to be doing this over and over. Once you're at 5 energy, there's a very realistic position you're in where you're going to be playing a Kefla for 1 energy and then paying the additional 4 energy after that to be able to play another one. I mean, at that point, you're establishing 4 bodies out of 5 energy, and you've been able to replace the cards you were going to discard on the one that you hardcasted for 4. You draw a card. She's incredibly powerful by herself, and that's not even accounting for when you contest all the other stuff she's bringing with her. So in terms of the 3-drop suite, we've got Android 17, which allows our leader to become a 25k if you play 2 or 3, 30k, 35k. Honestly, the way he scales is really insane, and the fact that he has KO protection can make it really rough. Then we've got Son Goku, just some good critical body to be able to apply pressure and prevent our opponent from getting cards out of their hand. We've got the 3-drop Kefla, which just draws a card, but the fact that we're netting another card to replace the card that we're going to play means that we can keep on getting gas. And then finally, Catapesla, the first turn you play him, he's going to neg something by 10k. Odds are he's never really taking something with him when he dies, but just the fact that we're able to apply more neg pressure, assuming maybe we have a Gohan on board, which if you wanted to, you could also play a Gohan. Now we're giving things minus 20k. Just anything we can do to try and keep contesting the board is things that are going to help us in the long run. And then Catapesla just has a bonus that, like, if you need to get rid of a cheeky 1-drop, you can just play him out and do that as well, since I do believe 1-drop control is going to be an important aspect of the set 2 meta. Now, while you generally are focusing on Kefla the most because it's just the most explosive thing you can do, we do still need to close out the game. And look, now we have a double striker that's a 10k combo, and we can play for 1 energy, which opens up our energy to be able to do a bunch of different things. It means that we can go into our opponent, make plays, press them with the 2 or 3 energy available while still having the 1 to always threaten double strike. And the fact that we're always in a position to threaten double strike makes this incredibly spooky. So honestly, fantastic card. The fact that you're able to double strike for 1, if you played Masters, it's almost like a furthering the strike Champa, but with like extra steps. And the fact that that's always available to you is very spooky. Then once moving past the battle cards, we round out the strategy. Glimpse of a Hidden Arrogance is just a great way to be able to not only apply pressure, but also be able to get cards back. So we're able to pump up one of our battle cards. Maybe we pump up Ribrianne, and then we're able to get back a Kefla to be able to extend our plays. So the fact that we have play extension there is really neat. And then I am including a 1 of Clash of the Strongest. Look, I don't know how good or bad this is going to be, but I've definitely played against top coup boards that had 4 or 5 battle cards, and already that was like winning, and it definitely lines itself up as a win more card, but it seals the deal where you're able to pay 2 energy, be able to give your entire board 10k is incredibly gross. So I'll play the cheeky 1 of, because I think it's just a fun play, but there's an argument that it shouldn't be here, and I think that's perfectly fine as well. Then we just round out with our consistency pieces. Basil is able to search out the entirety of our deck for the most part, except for a couple of our Self-Awakeners. Besides Basil himself, can search up the double striker, and we're about to see Ribrianne as the super combo that we're also able to search up as well. Always fun when we're able to search those out of our deck. And then Piccolo just to round out as a couple of draws because we need some more 1-drop plays. Like I was saying, we're able to get Ribrianne, and the fun part about Ribrianne is the fact that you can actually pay 1 to play her. While like 99% of the time, that's actually a bad play. There are actually certain lines where it may make sense that you want multiple attacks, and for whatever reason, Ribrianne is just the best way to be able to get there, as opposed to like another 1-drop that's just a 5k. It's not going to come up often, if ever, but the fact that the option is there is just nice. It's a tutorable super combo as well. Well, tutorable. It's a searchable super combo alongside our Basil, which is sweet. So it just rounds out everything altogether. All in all, I think the base list is incredibly strong. I think there's a couple of things that we might have to take into consideration when we get a better idea of what the meta is going to look like. But off rip, I think just doing the bare minimum of being a consistent Kefla push out deck is enough to secure a decent amount of wins, to a point where I think it's going to be incredibly annoying. I think the strategy is incredibly good, and I would not be surprised if Top Coup is the contender for the best deck in the meta coming out of the gate. With that in mind, let's jump over the table so we can kind of get an idea of what a couple of lines are going to look like and what the sequencing is going to be with the deck, as kind of an introduction of the play lines that you should be looking for. Quick addendum before we get started. I just realized that the deck list actually had 48 cards as opposed to 50. The only thing I did was round out, adding another 17 just to have the full play set, and then another Ribrianne just to have more access to double strike, and she's a 10k combo, so the cost of having that in the deck is pretty low. Otherwise, you can add in like 2 more drop Piccolo's or whatever you want, and I think that would do fine. When it comes to your opening hand, at the end of the day, you are really looking for your Self-Awakeners as much as possible, but we don't have to turbo it. You can just apply pressure and be able to push through from there. So in terms of our opening setup here, we've got a couple of 1-drop searchers, and we've got a Self-Awakener on turn 2 with some turn 3 pressure if we need it. It's not amazing, but we can definitely work with it. Being the first turn player, we're just going to go ahead and charge our energy and then pay 1 to be able to play Basil. Hopefully we can find ourselves something else to play. So Basil says the top 5. So let's look at the top 5 right there. And of course we can take any Tournament of Power arena. And here I am leaning towards taking a Gohan because, of course, it cycles well into our Awakening here, into our Awakening there, and we're able to control the board as well. So we're just going to go ahead and take that, group that together, and bottom deck the rest. From there, odds are we're going to pass the turn. Our opponent likely is going to hit us, so we'll go ahead and take the life and then proceed. So we're going to go ahead and restand everything. We're going to draw. And then from here, I think our play is very openly just going to be the Caulifla. So with that in mind, I think we're going to go ahead and try to draw. So we're going to swing, go ahead and draw ourselves a card. And then from here, just let that be no reason to get combos out early. Now we're going to go ahead and commit to our play. So we're going to go and play a Caulifla, and we're going to take the life. From there, we're down to 6. And we have a couple of ways to go before So now the question is, do we swing with Caulifla? If we do, odds are it's probably going to survive, maybe not. But either way, let's just not swing, open ourselves up to be able to take another hit so that maybe we can go ahead and dig ourselves into a self-awakening at some point. Though we do have a lot of Gohans in hand, so that's something to keep in mind. Pass to our opponent, odds are they're going to swing at us again. We'll go ahead and take that life, and maybe they just pass there. From there, draw, and then the worlds are, which at this point, I think we've got a little too many Gohans, so we'll go ahead and shove that in our energy. And then from here, it's tough to say. We don't have Kefla, so we just need to line up properly for when our turn comes around. But hey, we'll start off by swinging our third leader. We're going to go ahead and draw a card. Still didn't get there, so there's an argument to be made that maybe we should be playing our Basil to maybe find it. But we still have a little bit of life to go through before we do end up getting there. So I actually will go ahead and commit our 3 to go into Gohan because maybe we want to clear something off the board as well. There was also an argument to be made that if for whatever reason our opponent attacked into us with something else, then we can just use Gohan and then the leader swing to be able to clear with that. Either way, we're going to go ahead and swing. We're going to take the life, and then that'll be pretty much where we leave it there. There's a world in which maybe we swing with this, but that's no big deal. Now, at this point, presumably the opponent's going to try and attack into our Gohan, clear it, do whatever they may do. Maybe we end up comboing our Basil, what have you, to be able to kind of clear it out of the way. Maybe we have to, at this point, who knows, maybe we have to get rid of a Catapesla or something to be able to protect it as well, because we want to keep it on board, get our Awaken through. However, maybe odds are we're protecting our board and then going to our next turn. And then from here, still no Kefla, which is tough, but hey, at least we're able to extend our plays. And what's nice is that even if we don't have Kefla, we can still open up and play, you know, anything for cheap to kind of extend into a bigger board. So from here, I think we're going to start with the Goku swing to be able to take a life. And then from here, we're going to be able to awaken, which will draw us a card as well. And now we really do just be digging. So we're going to go ahead and swing. We do get a draw off of that as well. We haven't found it, but the beauty is that it only costs 1. So here we can actually just go ahead and play the Basil. And now we're looking at the top 5 of our deck. Let's see if we can find ourselves a Kefla. We did find ourselves a Kefla. Very nice. So now we can actually go ahead and start extending our plays. And then from here, we'll just go ahead, pay 1 energy, discard. I don't know. We could keep a Gohan around. Maybe we keep the Gohan around just because it's another good body. We can actually play off a Kefla, get like some removal happening here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then we play the Kefla. We're going to go ahead and draw a card, which we love to see. Drew the other Kefla, which means we're lined up for the next turn as well. And then in this position, I mean, this is now a 25k attacker, which is really cool because our leader's awakened. Alternatively, we'll just go ahead and play the 117. Now our leader is a 25k, and this is obviously very sticky. And we still have 2 energy up, which is absolutely insane. So now we're in a position where we can swing crit, swing 25, swing 25. We could also keep the standing if we're worried about protecting it or whatever, making it harder for our opponent to remove. So now we're a 25k leader. So let's say that that's what we wanted to do. We still have 2 energy up. And of course, if we had the extra card, we could use that defensively as well. But here, there's no reason to maybe not just extend by playing another Basil. Maybe we find something neat at the top of our deck, but we still also have Rebrand open for the next turn after that. And what's really neat here is that we'll always take, well, usually we'll take the Kefla, but of course the super combo was an option for us as well. So here, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's any number of ways that our opponent can attack into us when we pass into them. But let's just say we combo these away to protect our board, protect us, what have you. This dies, and I don't know, maybe this dies. Just to keep it kind of like sane, and then we'll protect our Kefla because 25k. Actually, there's a world in which we probably just protect the Gohan instead, but either way, no big deal. Let's say we take a damage somehow for whatever reason. Maybe we had to use our super combos. We don't particularly mind. Just kind of giving you guys the idea of what the line's up. And then at 5 is when things get really gross. So now we're in a position where we'll go ahead and unsuspend. We'll draw a card, and then we'll charge a dead combo. So let's say this crit Goku here will be what we get rid of. And now, like, we just have like such a nutty board, right? We can swing, draw, swing, swing, assuming our leader. And now at 5, we're in a position where we can actually go ahead and so our opponent's at 1 now, which is pretty gross, all things considered. So let's see what plays we can make. I mean, see, so we can pay this for 1. We can use Roshi's ability. We'll go ahead and take the life. And then from here, can I line up a way for us to get additional cards? So this now will cost us 1, which is really neat. So it's 1, and then it's 1. So we have 2 energy to play with. Unfortunately, we cannot extend our plays any further, but if our opponent's at 1, we can obviously go in with Kefla. Obviously, if we didn't go for the Roshi, we could have went Kefla into Kefla with the 5 energy, 1 for the 1 cost, and then for that. So a lot of single strikes available to us. However, the really neat play that we can do here is, let's say our opponent's at 2. we can actually pay 1 and discard, say, Android 17 here. We can now play Ribrianne, and we can actually swing Ribrianne, pay the 1 energy, boost her up to a formidable 45k, which also allows us to be able to get this back from the drop. Now we just got a 10k combo back, and now we're able to combo 10. So now it's at what, 45, 55, 65, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Now, of course, that wasn't a full-on game. Naturally, your opponent's going to be working much harder to be able to prevent you from doing that, but it just goes to show how easy it is for Goku to be able to establish a board, get more attacks in, and line up the sequencing where once you're at 4 or 5 energy, you have multiple lines available to you that are able to progress board, draw you cards, and it's just an insane amount of value, especially when you consider that the Kefla lines are producing you 7 energy worth of plays for 1 energy, or that you have the option of going into a double striker while having all your energy up to make additional plays. In a world in which we had 2 of the extra cards in hand, we could have drawn 2 additional cards from our drop using them on the Ribrianne, and then that's an additional, effectively turning them into like 35k combos, which is absolutely nutty, especially since if our opponent decides to attack into our Kefla, we can draw a Kefla again, we can combo with the Kefla, or we can set that up for future turns. So there's just a lot going on in that aspect in regards to the variability in which Topku can attack and be extremely aggressive. And of course, nothing forces you to go into those aggressive plays right away. Let me know how you guys are going to be looking to be building Topku going into set 2 Burning Aura, and I'll catch you guys on our next one.